I've had 81 good years, and soon to be 82 good years.
Yeah.
And my little dog here is 12 years old. I got her when I was on my 80th birthday, her 70th birthday.
70th.
And she's had her 12th birthday, and I'm going to have my 82nd here in a few days.
All right, nice.
And I've seen lots of things.
Yeah.
I remember back when we had prairies and horses. They wasn't many, but we had a few horses still driving wagons. I was born in 27, but this was a few years later whenever I could remember things. I remember when we had ice boxes on the back porch, wooden ice boxes, and icemen come every day and put ice on top of it. And then the water dripped through, and we had a drip bin on the bottom we'd have to empty, and sometimes it'd run over and we'd have to mop the floor. I remember that. I remember when we got our first refrigerator. Boy, that was really something. I remember when we got our first telephone, and when we got our first radio, and everything was brand new, and real excited about all those things. And now people can fly to the moon.
Well, not exactly.
Well, they can send rockets up there.
Yeah.
In your lifetime, they may.
Maybe. I always think that's funny. Back in the, it must have been the 1950s and 60s, like the television and everything, they really thought that by now we would be really advanced, that we would be on other planets.
Well, due to finances, the government wouldn't pay for a lot of things they wanted to do.
Well, true, but we're very, very early in our space traveling stage.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the first television I ever saw was at the Texas Fair. And I had your father with you, and Henry was about like Mikey. He was about 3 years old.
Yeah.
And he and my dad and Hugh was walking along holding Henry's hand, and they came across this first television that they had ever seen. Of course, it was black and white, and everybody was standing around watching the television, and Henry was holding on to his daddy's shirt tail like that, and for somehow or other, that big crowd came along. It's a Texas-Oklahoma football game, and this was just before the game started, and they just swept along that way, and Henry just swept along with them and got lost, and here he was, lost at the fair.
Wow.
And we didn't know anything about it. It's a good thing. I would have been having a conniption fit. But my mother and I, we was off in another building looking at something else. And of course, Hugh and Dad, they looked all over and finally reported it, and they came over the loudspeaker that a little boy had been found and where he was, and so of course they ran over and got him. Henry was having a good time. He was just sitting up on the counter eating ice cream cone whenever they found him.
Yeah.
That was the first Oklahoma-Texas football game that Henry went to, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So it was in his blood early.
Yeah.
Must have been.
Yep. He always loved to go to the Dallas Fair.
He was a big OU fan early on.
Oh, yeah.
Or he listened to it on the radio when he was a little boy?
Huh?
He listened to it on the radio?
No, I don't think he ever did. I think we had television most of his life that he remembers anyway.
Yeah.
I remember when we got our first television, but he must have been 5 or 6 years old.
Well, I mean, he still listens to it on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I figure back then he would, but
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
to this day...
Of course, as a child, he wasn't that interested in it. As he grew older, he and his dad, what's football from then on.
Yeah, yeah. They go to games together. 'Cause now my dad and, my dad and James, they go to games all the time now.
All the time.
They even go to basketball games. You know, I imagine they go to a baseball game too, but so him and his son, he takes him to OU games quite often. So I don't know if you've seen pictures of James. He put some up there of him.
No?
Yeah, going to some of those football games, and they went and they saw Tulsa play. You know.
Did Henry go with him?
Yeah, they go to a lot of games. They do a lot of stuff together.
Well, good. I'm glad.
The two of them. They do a lot of stuff together. But they go to a lot of football games together. You know.
I gotta go over tomorrow and get Henry a birthday card. He's gonna be 59 years old.
He'll be 59.
Yeah. That was a long time ago. I remember when I had him.
Yeah. You remember when you had him? Yeah. 59 years old, man. He's getting up there.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're getting
I
old.
think that's enough for tonight.
You think so? You're ready for Doris to call?
Yeah, it's time.